Indeed, we are here. Welcome to the Hamityville Horror. Thank you for visiting. My name is Clint.
I am Don.
And we were joined here with a very special guest today. We were here with one, should I say, Tiffany Helm is how most of us will know you from Friday the 13th, Part 5. Although I think your actual name now is Tiffany Brooke Meyer. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm just fine.
And actually, Helm is still my professional name, so.
Oh, I got you. So I didn't mess
that's
up.
Good. No. And actually, yeah, it's when I have my Facebook accounts, because Meyer is my married name, and even though there's no privacy, it's more private than the Helm name, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Oh, sure. Yep. Well, I mean, I just wanted to start out, by saying that we have done quite a bit of talking to people who've been in Friday the 13th, Part 5. And we've talked to Deb Voorhees recently, Ron Sloan, Melanie Kinnaman. We didn't really interview DeSimone, but we did meet him once.
Mm-hmm.
Great group of folks. We actually love the movie. And we're a little bit bummed out that it's gotten such a bad rap over the years, and been kind of put down unfairly, I think. I may as well just jump right into. I watched a documentary on it. I think it was Crystal Lake Memories, and it seemed like whenever they interviewed a studio person, it was almost like they were setting up reasons for why the movie failed, and then they would interview actors who, generally speaking, had a positive experience. I mean, would you say that you had a positive experience on that film?
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because I talk to my mom about once a week, and if you know who my mom is, that's Brooke Bundy from
Yes.
Nightmare and a million other things that she's done. But I was actually going to ask her the question of what her favorite character was. I've never had this conversation with her. So I was going to say, so what has been your all-time favorite character you've done? And then it kind of, in my brain, because I haven't even talked to her with this, but it piggybacked into, what was your favorite project to work on? These are two totally different questions. So I think, where you're going with it is, they're two totally different things. We can call Friday the whole franchise what it is. For the horror fans, there's that meme going around, like, horribly rated movie, never watch it, garbage. And oh, by the way, I have it on Blu-ray, DVD, and because the horror fans, it's a different genre. As far as a cinematic masterpiece, no, it's not. I mean, and you can look at like IMDb.
All right, so I think we left off. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties kicked us out. You were saying about, I think, how your Friday was the tamest of them all, as far as blood and everything like that, and obviously the MPAA butchered it to death, so that didn't help that movie either.
Yeah, so I mean, I think my point, basically, because you had brought up that there were leading questions in the documentary about quality and talking to actors, and we all had a really good time. I can't speak for everybody, but it was a very positive experience. The crew was amazing. The cast was awesome. Danny was super. Producer ran a tight ship, but that's what you do when you're a producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think necessarily the quality of the film or the ratings of the film or whatever really have any correlation to the actors having a really good experience, just really enjoying the project.
Yeah. Yeah.
That definitely
So
makes sense.
you had led into the question that you were gonna ask your mom about what was your her favorite character to play and her favorite project to work on. And I don't know if I missed it in the mix there. What would you say about yourself? I mean, would this be the one?
I was afraid you turned that on me. It's actually because I was like, oh, when I talk to my mom, I got to be prepared for her to ask me. And I'm like, okay, so let me think about that. And lately I've actually been digging up a lot of the archives. You know, we're blessed that we have access to so much of the work. I just found a piece, one of my very first jobs from 1983. And just downloaded it. So I'm kind of gathering all the stuff that I did. And it's when you lay it all out there, I mean, during the time going through it, I don't think I would have been able to say, oh, this is my favorite, or it's not my favorite. Or this was a tough project to work on. This was a great project to work on. But in hindsight, I really, and I'm dodging around your question, because I think they all are great for some reason or another. And, one of the bummers is that back when I was working a lot, the roles written for women were, sorry, garbage.
Right.
And
Agreed.
now
No, agree.
they're amazing. Like the women actresses today, I'm like, man, I mean, I know the business has changed a lot and it's even tougher, but there are some wonderful roles out there. So it's hard to say what was my favorite. I mean, one of the first films I worked on, OC and Stiggs, was under Robert Altman's direction. And we had in the cast, there was John Cryer and Jane Curtin and Martin Mull and Dennis Hopper and Ray Walston, Tina Louise, and I can go on and on and on. This is like my first experience on a location film. So it really set my bar very, very high. Now, the film itself, we say, well, it did well in Europe, and take that to mean whatever you think it means. But for that experience working under Altman and with because he had his boys, men, but he had his kids doing all, crew work as well. And of course, being with those other actors, it was a mind-blowing experience. And again, it set the bar really high. So again, the character, she was referred to as one of the sluts, right? It's like, so, yeah, and I've totally dodged around the question because I don't think I can answer it. I think it's something that changes, just like your favorite song, right? Or the favorite concert you've been to.
Sure. Yeah.
No, definitely. Like I can definitely see where you're coming from there. And you've been, the really cool thing about your career is you've been around a lot of people that are, obviously famous, like you said, Dennis Hopper, you were with Ben Vereen and I think it was a young Jackie Earle Haley with the Zoo Gang, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley, and then the 21 Jump Street I did, of course, Johnny Depp, but also Brad Pitt was just starting his illustrious career.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've been really, really fortunate. I've worked with some amazing people. And again, that kind of colors the experience, definitely leaves you wanting more.
Definitely.
On Jump Street, we got to mention Steve Williams.
Oh, absolutely.
He's amazing.
Yep.
Yes, without
Yep.
a doubt. Without a doubt. So yeah, I mean that's the really cool thing about, you know, especially with being in a Friday the 13th, everybody seemed to really get their footing with horror movies. I've noticed a lot of people have, really kind of just soar after they were in, a horror movie. Like I said, Johnny Depp, there's a prime example with, Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, and just kind of kept going and going and going. And that's what I loved about these early horror movies is that, you may have had like one or two people that you knew in the movie, but like the indie films now, they're no name people, you don't know who these people are. And I think it just brings another element to, the older horror movies, just like, Friday 13th Part 5, you didn't really know anybody. Um, and I think that's why we we really took to this one because, you have the beginning with, you know, Corey Feldman. That was probably the biggest star of that, movie of the time. And it was like, then it starts and it's like, wow, this is totally different feeling than any other Friday 13th, before or after. And Clint always refers it to the who done it, Friday the 13th. And that's
Mhm.
why we really liked it because it was like, you kind of had
It
the
went back to
inkling of,
its roots.
yeah,
I
it
mean, it
went back
truly
to the
was a new
original.
beginning.
Hmm.
Just like the first movie in that regard, it became a whodunit.
Hmm. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like everybody's like, oh, this isn't Jason. It's like, guys, it's right in the title, A New Beginning. It's a lot, and a lot of people don't even call it Part 5. They just say it's Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, and then it's like that's how I take it because it is. It's a new beginning. So, what's your take on all that?
Well, I like listening to the horror fans. I mean, I'm a horror fan of a different genre. I'm not really into the slasher movies. I like the more psychological,
Hmm.
slow burn stuff. But I love listening to the horror fans debate this and compare all of them. Um, yeah, I mean and I like that take on it. The who done it of the Friday the 13th. So I'm like, that's cool.
Mhm.
I haven't really, I don't reflect a whole lot on the film. And I know horror fans are like, what do you think? And how was it with? And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. It was a job,
Hmm.
right? And it was a great job. And the thing that was, I think, the best about working on it, and again, this is not really to your question because I don't know if I can even answer that, but the autonomy we had and how much I was able to build that character, that Danny trusted me to do that, to go completely um, counterintuitive to the script and build that character and let wardrobe, you know, just kind of be shadow me as I picked out things that I thought were right. And of course they have say because they know the color palettes and all of those things that make them awesome wardrobe people. But like they let me build that character. So, and when I was like, yeah, that weird dancing is, or the exercising is, yeah, I don't think Pilot would be exercising. It's just not the thing. But dancing, like, yeah, okay, dancing, all right. And then that weird dancing that I first did. And then I was like, well, this is what we actually are doing in clubs. Um, and they were totally open to it. And the music and everything, like, again, it really raises the bar for me in the industry. And again, like Robert Altman, if you want to compare the two, who again, there's a lot of autonomy for the actors. He's like he trusts the actors. Danny trusted his actors, and that's really cool because there's some that don't.
Hmm. No, you're right.
Yeah.
We've heard that before. It just kind of, some people get that liberty, some people don't. And I think it's
Yeah.
just a shame when they don't because it seems like it holds the person down. Like just let it go. And again, it's a horror movie. It's not going to be a masterpiece, and if it is, congratulations. But most of these aren't. So why hold somebody back?
Mhm.
And then also, I can speak to your whole thing about the unknown actor, though, too, as well, because so I mean, again, some of the indie films, Yes, but generally those unknown actors, if you go to their IMDb profiles, they've worked quite a bit. There
Mhm.
isn't, that whole idea of like back in the 60s of being discovered at Schwab's pharmacy, like the Audrey Hepburn stories and all that. Like it's not really been that way for a really, really long time. Um, I don't think even maybe since Julia Roberts. I don't know. Occasionally, like one person squeaks through, but generally these are hardworking actors who've been working at it for a
Mhm.
while, and they luck into that project that gets them,
Yeah,
pops them,
blown up.
right?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're definitely right on that one. Clint wanted to bring up one of your later films that he ran across on Tubi. Go ahead, Clint.
I want actually I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but I was very interested to know if since you had taken a break from acting and basically are coming back to it recently, if you were kind of had the ability to pick and choose like roles that you went after. I mean, I know like early on in your career, it's basically you're auditioning for what comes up, and you're seeing what you can get, and you're trying to get yourself out there. But now that you have some time to think about it, do you go after projects that look interesting?
Oh, I wish. I'm not. Again, there's that the saying in Hollywood. It's like, well, what have you done lately?
Hmm.
We live in an area. I mean, it's like I left LA and I was in Seattle for about 18 years, and I worked all of I think three times, and one of those jobs was not even in Seattle. Only two jobs that were in Seattle. Dead. And that's where I started my photography business. So now we're in Alberta and I have dual citizenship. So I was like, oh, this is going to work great. I'll get back into acting and blah, blah, blah. It's tough. And the stuff here, because they do all of their casting out of, Vancouver, New York, LA. Um, and so when they come here, it's the parts that are available are like under fives, so under five lines or day player parts. That's really what gets cast here. They bring all their major talent from the bigger cities, and I mean, I'm fine doing under fives and day player stuff. It's fun to be back on a set.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as picking and choosing, no, I have not been
Okay.
able to. Like, yeah, I mean, I've been brought in for Fargo 4, 5 times, I think, for like
Okay.
one scene, and I still haven't gotten hired. My mom's like, "Oh, that means they love you." And I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
hire me."
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it's an
Yeah.
amazing show. Would love to do it.
Yeah.
And supposedly we have like 6 big productions that are going to come here because the U.S. film crews like to shoot in Canada because they get the exchange rate,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So, and it's written in, it's the law that they have to hire a certain amount of Canadian actors and crew. So, yeah, I'm like, I'm still hoping I get, one really cool project. But yeah, if somebody's out there who has a really cool project that they want to work on, that they
Yeah.
think I'm right for, bring it on.
Well, I had kind of asked because when I was looking at your recent projects, like Red Letter Day and In the Tall Grass and Come True, I was reading the synopses on them. They all seemed like incredibly interesting. Like I would want to go watch these movies. In fact, I plan to watch at least two of them, and I've seen 13 Fanboy. So I was just curious because it seemed like almost like they were interesting enough that you'd like want to handpick that. Yeah, I want to be in that film. So it's you just, I guess, luck of the draw. We just happened to end up in some really cool sounding movies.
Yeah, and it is luck of the draw. I mean, the funny thing about well, yeah, Red Letter Day, Come True, and In the Tall Grass. Again, I spend lots of time on IMDb. I just love to like just go down the rabbit hole of
Yeah, so
people's
do we.
careers
Yeah,
and
we do too.
connections. So if you look on In the Tall Grass, you're going to find some similar names on Come True as far as producer. Um, and one of for Red Letter Day, even the director, when I came onto set, he had a little Jason pin. And they have a nod to Violet in the film. So it's like they're fans, right? And
That's
so my
cool.
name
That's
comes up
cool.
for an audition, and they're like, "Holy crap! It's that chick from Friday the 13th. Let's give her something to do on this film."
You got your own
Um,
little love letter. That's cool.
yeah, and come true. I don't know if it was Friday. I mean, I'm not just saying that it's just because of Friday the 13th that I'm getting work. But it did have influence on those. And I know when I was on the set for In the Tall Grass and being the director and the producer, they have the connections to come true. So we talked about that. So yeah, it's all interconnected. And the Red Letter Day script is awesome. It's a great premise. So I had absolute ball working on that one. Um, in the Tall Grass is Netflix. It's a bigger production. It's a little more, you know, follow, stay within the lines kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's all been great. It's been great to get back on a set.
That sounds awesome.
That does.
Yeah. Well, we've actually been lovers of indie films in the past year or two, and the awesome thing about that is like they don't seem to like really um, typecast anybody for the most part. You know, there's a job for everybody. Like you don't have to be, you know, the prettiest or the tallest or the or whatever. They're like, you know what? We've got a project that'd be great for you. We've got one that'd be great for you. And we're seeing um like people that we used to recognize in some films in like 80s and 90s that are finding new careers in the indie circuit. It's pretty awesome. We just recently talked to Felissa Rose. She probably does about, I don't know, 30 or 40 projects a year, you know, and everybody remembers her from Sleepaway Camp, you know what I mean? Lynn Lowry's getting ready to premiere a movie in Pittsburgh, you know, which is like a werewolf film, but that's an independent film. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening that's just not seeing the light of day. And I didn't know if if you'd be interested in getting in projects like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested, and it's funny because Deborah had reached out as far as fanboy, but yeah, I'm credited on, but technically I'm not in the film.
Right.
But she's completely professional, and it was under contract and all of that. But yeah, I mean, doing stuff like that where you build the film together. I loved how that film was put together, and that everybody they they put in their money, they have their title, they have their say so, and it's really that's the stuff that is so nice about at least what the business used to be. It's one of the downsides of doing the day player stuff or the under five stuff is that generally you're coming on like at the end of the shoot, or I mean, or you're just there for a day, so you don't get to build those relationships. And when you have a project again like Fanboy, it's you become this family. I mean, and that's what happened on all the other films that I worked on, or any television that went for like a week or so, like 21 Jump Street or any of them. Anytime you
Right.
spend time.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So yeah, and looking at a lot of your IMDb, with the TV series. So, how hard was it to jump from being in, your films, then going right to TV? Was there any kind of change or anything? Did you have to prepare any differently? Did you have to, you know, anything like that? Was it a harder transition, or was it easier, the fact that you had already been in movies?
Well, they kind of were hand in hand. I mean, I don't know what the exact timeline is, but yeah, there wasn't really, I mean, the auditions are pretty much the same, and it helps for you to know the genre. I've done classes on genres, right? It's really important to know what you're going in for. Film and television, they're pretty close, and now the quality of television is that of film. like all that stuff, all the series on Netflix that you would consider absolute film quality, but they're still listed as television, like Under the Banner of Heaven that I worked on. Um, like really, really high quality, because generally TV had that reputation, the 3 camera stuff, it's like wide, wide, tight, tight, over the shoulder, then back wide, wide. And it's a very formulaic process, where now it's getting a lot more interesting. And you also, I think, like a lot of film people, are working on television as well. So, I mean, it's now, if you want to compare a theater to film and television, that's an entirely different animal. But the film and television genre are pretty tight.
Would you ever want to be a director, producer, anything like that? Would you want to do that?
I don't think so. I know that's the stereotypical response from the actor of what I really want to do is direct. But yeah, no, I have friends that are producers and stuff, and it just, no,
Not your
I'm
cup of
good.
Sounds
tea.
stressful, if I'm
Throw
being
me in the
honest.
scene and I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me a little guidance, and if you need to give me a line reading, they always apologize for that. I'm like, no, it's fine, whatever.
right.
If you think that's gonna work, then
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, I wanted to go back a little bit, and I know, having listened to some other interviews you've given, that acting wasn't always your main focus or the thing that you really wanted to do with your life, and you did leave and went to Seattle and basically started a new career, just because there was not many acting prospects, and perhaps you had an interest in photography, and I know that you've made a good business out of that, and the things that I see are normally, like photographing things like kids or like pets. Do some beautiful landscape photos. I don't know if you just do that for yourself or if that's for your business or not, but um and boudoir photos. And I think I remember hearing you say that every woman should do a boudoir shoot, but I was just curious, in your words, why do you feel like everyone should do that? Is it a confidence thing?
absolutely.
Okay.
It's most of my female clients, I would say, who would do boudoir, even the headshots, there's usually some apology. Like, I have never photographed well. I don't look good in pictures or whatever. And then it's really cool to show them how incredibly beautiful they look in pictures, right? So I
Mhm.
think, I mean, it is one of those things. It's self-affirming, and kind of like, I posted like a video of my stills from 1983 to current, from the stuff I've worked on. And again, it's just kind of laying it out in front of you, because we go through these phases in our life, and it's like, it's just nice to like look at that and hold that. And it's just a moment in time. And yeah, and it's the self-perception is always off. I mean, I look at stuff that I used to do, and I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was so fat, or I thought I was so ugly, or I thought I was so this or that. And I'm looking at it like, I was so wrong. And how many other people feel that way, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that women doing boudoir shoots, and again, not necessarily that they even need to, have these risque photos of them to affirm their sexuality or sensuality or their femaleness or whatever. But just for them, it's feeling and looking good, and
Yeah.
making the insides match the outsides.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. That's
Yeah, I
lovely.
do too. That's fantastic.
And that's a completely good and valid reason to do it. Um, I was going to say something else. I don't remember what it was. Um, but having said that, with all the beautiful landscape pictures, I follow your Instagram now, and some of those pictures are just captivating. I mean, and I know some of it is probably the location, just the beauty of the places where you're at, and some of it might be, color correction or editing, but I mean, they're great. And if nobody follows you on there, I completely recommend it.
Oh, I do too.
It's Rascal Photo, photo with an F. And yeah, there's some great things on there, which made me wonder, you know, have you considered writing a book to make like a coffee table book or something like that, where you just kind of like include a lot of your favorites from over the years?
I haven't thought about that. That's an interesting idea. And it's again, yes, it's very much I'm going to show you uh location. I'm going to just flip this camera around so you can see what my view is. See if it focuses. It's not focusing. You can't. It's not focusing.
No, but I see trees
No,
and
I
I
see
see a
trees.
mountain
Yep.
and there's snow out there.
It's not focusing, but trust me, it's really beautiful out there.
Yeah.
And
And
I mean, the thing is, I'm in an area, it is so competitive for photography. Like if you think my stuff good, and by the way, I'll have to do, not to be an apologist, but my Rascal photo site on Instagram is not really, I'll pop in like some of my really good stuff, but mainly it's pictures of my dog, right?
oh yeah, even those are cool, you know?
Right.
But it's not like my professional, I mean, my professional website. I have I have my Rascal Photo and Design on Facebook. I have my website. But the Instagram site is just kind of a hodgepodge of phone photos and of some of my projects and some of the stuff the Photoshop projects that I do, where I transform, do major transformations on things, on buildings particularly, I like to do. So it's kind of a mix of that. But as far as like the book, I mean, if you Google Canmore photographers
Mm-hmm.
and the photos or Canmore photography and Banff, it's off the charts. It's really, the stuff here is amazing. So, and I appreciate the positivity from you. But landscape is, I mean, I'm just shooting what's around. It's not really my forte. I like people. The outdoor boudoir is really fun to do because then I can incorporate both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, if I could make a living off of any brand of photography, I would be doing my transformative shots. Like there's one in there with the neon that I did, where I took a very kind of drab street scene and really made it what was the my brain just switched off. What was the series, the murder series in the 90s that everybody loved? It'll come to me maybe by the end of this. But anyway, if I could make a living off of photography of one style, that would be it. So I don't know that my stuff would be like if it was just all landscapes.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of a book. I just don't know if that would
Yeah.
be the thing. I'll have to plant that seed.
Yeah. I enjoyed some of the before and after stuff that I was seeing, which one of the buildings you talked about, I think was like a hotel or motel or
Yeah.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Taken during the daytime, and by the time it was finished with the editing, it looked like a stormy, almost a nighttime scene where the sign just kind of popped looming out of the
And that's the stuff that I like to do. I mean, I can spend days, I'm like a total Photoshop nerd, and I can just sit there and tweak it. So if I had the skills to do like animation for video games,
Mm-hmm.
I think that my vision would be great for that. So.
Hey,
Well,
she's
that's
been a
pretty
voice
awesome.
in a video game. Did you know that, Clint? Speaking of video games.
I missed that
More
part.
than a voice.
True. Francesca Sabatini, right?
And actually, it's online now. Somebody recorded the whole thing. So I pulled scenes, but it's on YouTube. Somebody who plays the whole game, and it goes all the way through. That was, again, Arthur C. Clarke. That was his baby. So again, working with like amazing people. But yeah, that was supposed to be where video games were going, to use live actors. That was going to be the thing, the niche, right? And obviously it didn't really take off. But it's really fun to watch because it's such a like snapshot for the time. I mean, all the graphics and everything. It's fun. I mean, it can be a little tedious going through it, but if you kind of fast forward a little bit through it, it's very fun to watch. And it was cool playing an Italian scientist. Actually, I was just more of a newscaster. I wasn't a scientist.
We'll say scientist. That sounds better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I also enjoy some of your music recommendations that I end up seeing online. I was reminded by several things that I had forgotten that I loved. Like the Toadies Rubberneck album, and of course, last night I found myself not being able to help myself singing Oingo Boingo to myself while I was in the shower. So, and I know that you've always been kind of like a music fan. Oh, and I should mention Soundgarden. That was one of my favorites when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big Chris Cornell fan.
And no one sings like you anymore.
No, they don't. And I know that you had gotten a song into part 5. That was the pseudo echo song, and just for fun, I wanted to ask if I were building a 1980s music playlist, what are a couple of songs that you feel would have to be on it?
Oh my goodness.
Oh
Okay,
geez,
how
much time we got now?
No, I know you guys don't have a whole lot of time, but my favorite Spotify playlist that I built, it's like, I don't know, it's 500, 600 songs, but it spans I call it 6 decades of great music. I mean, that's the nice thing about getting old is like I've been exposed to so much freaking music. But I'll see a few 80s. So you want 80s, not 90s. So
sure.
Let's see. Let me find some 80s.
I'm familiar with the 90s. I've got my own playlist.
First one comes up, and I guess that would be 80s. I don't know. It might have got, Yin and Yang and the Flower Pot Man, Love and Rockets.
Ooh. Yeah, there you go.
And I guess, would that be 80s or 70s in Every Dream Home, Roxy Music? Which was actually used in the David Fincher series on Netflix, the Mindhunter.
Oh, okay.
It was
nice.
really an amazing scene if you're a David Fincher fan. So that one, let's see, some other 80s, Crystal Risk, Peter Murphy, but that's, I think, 90s. Let's see, that's 90s. I got so many. Bedsitter, Soft Cell.
Oh,
yeah.
Soft Cell's cool.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, I'm gonna give you a few more and then we can move on to something else because I can get really just like lost in here.
We have all the time in the world.
Thompson Twins. One of our submarines, Thomas Dolby. Europa and the Pirate Twins, Thomas Dolby.
Now that I've heard. Now that is awesome that someone else brings that up.
It's a great song.
Yes.
Dr. Thompson Twins. Okay, let me give you 3 more and then I'm done with this. I got like 70s, 60s on here. 90s. Come on. Where's something else? A lot of 90s.
Well, give us your 3 favorite 90s.
Oh, well, I just lost them all. I have Closer to Fine, Indigo Girls, which is that late 80s or early 90s?
I think I was getting ready right into the 90s.
Bohemian Like You, Dandy Warhols, was that into millennial or is that 90s?
90s.
Okay, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Dandy Warhols. This is All I Know, Screaming Trees.
Yeah.
Screaming Trees.
Yeah, so there's this I think was millennial. The Save Yourself, Stabbing Westward. I just got Get Off from Dandy Warhols. So there's just always something to remind me, Naked Eyes. But I can go down that rabbit hole. I can send you
Yeah.
that playlist, but it's again,
Oh God,
it's like,
please do.
I might like to check it
Yeah,
out. That
yeah, I
sounds
might too.
awesome
but
and extensive.
I have even Mr. Sandman on there, and I think that was like
Oh,
what, like
wow.
the 40s or
40s.
50s.
Something like that. Yeah. Because that was, wow.
Hey, it happens. You know what?
Yeah. That would have been right around World War II, I
Yeah,
guess.
and that's but it's good music. That's the thing. Like, it's good music.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't get locked into any one decade, like people who are like, oh, this decade sucked, or this is the only good decade. I'm like, no,
No,
no, no, no,
Yeah,
no. You
not at
no.
just,
all.
you got to know where to look.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Like I said, that's a rabbit hole just to jump down for a month and pull out your best songs and make a playlist, because that's what would happen.
Absolutely. But yeah, I can
Definitely.
send that to you, and you can siphon off whatever you want on it if you're on Spotify, because it's a public playlist.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
Not
We're
that
on
I have any
Spotify.
followers on Spotify, but it is a public
I
playlist.
don't either.
Well, I
Damn.
don't either. I don't either.
Yep.
We'll start our own group.
Oh, absolutely,
The nobody
absolutely.
follows us playlist.
Yeah, I was just curious because you struck me as somebody who might have an eclectic taste in music, and I like to check out things that I've never heard before. So
Yeah, I'm all over the place, like
mhm,
really all over the place.
mhm,
It's good. Keep it
very cool.
interesting. I'm sure
Mhm.
your road trips are probably not boring when you're listening to music. That's for sure. Uh,
Well, when my husband's in charge, it's all Grateful Dead, and
Oh, I gotcha.
like, all right, enough, enough.
I'd be like, let's cycle this off. I'm starting to fall asleep.
yeah, well, they have so much music. I'm just like,
Yes.
and he'll just wax nostalgic and be like, yeah, this was 19 whatever at the whatever in the wherever the town is. I mean, it's
Yeah,
anyway, but that's okay.
yeah,
I
we all
still
have
love
our
him.
loves
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So so I did want to ask about rock climbing. I don't think that's something that you always did. Was that something that you kind of just picked up because you wanted to do it, or you're around a lot of beautiful mountains and you decided you wanted to climb? I mean, how did that come about?
Yeah, well, I was actually working part-time at this coffee house that's right across from our climbing gym here. And I had a frozen shoulder at the time, and I would just watch the climbers. Never something that would interest me. I'm like, that's some stupid stuff that people do. Like,
Right.
just like, why would you do something
Yeah.
like that? Like
If you
you
value
will,
your life.
you
Don't
could
do it.
fall and die. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. But I was watching the climbers. I watched them for a long time, and I'm like, man, that would be nice to try. It's funny how like once you get into like your 50s, like things change, the things you start being gravitating towards. Um, and yeah, I think it was for my like 51st birthday or something, or it was right around then, 50 or 51. I signed up for a mature movement class at the climbing gym. And I also started doing some yoga to fix my shoulder, and my shoulder got fixed. And I fell in love with climbing. And at the time, like early 50s for me, I was still able to keep up with the 20 somethings.
Wow.
So I had all these climbing buddies and that were great. And, again, the area that we're in has like tons of like Olympic athletes, like really high uh the athletics here are again off the charts, and it's really not my thing, but it's the bar is really really high for it. So I was taught by some amazing people, and they took me under their wing and took me out, and I felt safe, and it was just I just got better kind of on my own thing, but always climbing with these really amazing people. So I haven't been outside in a long time because you can't get better climbing outside. You got to train inside to climb
Hmm.
outside. So I
Hmm.
tried climbing outside after like COVID and all that, and I was terrible outside. So I'm back in the gym now. And I have a great, great climbing partner. She's been climbing for, I don't know, like 30 years or something. And she's wonderful. She's supportive. I mean, I'm not nearly as good as her, but yeah, it's one of those things like you got to do it all the time to get better. And
Yeah.
I kind of go in there once or twice a week now, and I don't know, just have fun. I love it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's very empowering, and it's a really nice meditative, holistic sport. And women particularly really excel at it, because we have to be smarter than just be going, arr, arr, arr.
Yep.
We got to be like, okay, so it's really weight and balance, and as far as getting up there. So yes, love it. It's a great sport.
That's exactly why I won't do it.
Yeah, it does seem something that's incredibly difficult, and you would have to do it quite a bit. Because, I mean, just a real quick side note on me. I had a job a few years back where I did a lot of climbing, but it was mostly like ladders or like antenna towers, or I'm on somebody's roof. And we went to like a birthday party or something, and there was a rock wall. And I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to kill this thing. And I learned very quickly that I didn't do a whole lot with my fingertips when I was out in that other job. So it was very difficult.
Yeah, it's different muscles. And I mean, they say the only way to train for climbing is climbing. I mean, you can do certain exercises, but it's just a different set of muscles. And yeah, your fingers got to be strong, and your core. And I have very, very weak core. So there's certain like overhangs are difficult for me because I don't have that, but I've got big, they say the ape index, right?
Wingspan.
Yeah, the wingspan, ape index. So that's helpful. But yeah, it's a whole different thing. But it's a lot of fun.
See, we should do like Ninja Warrior now. Like we should go American Ninja Warrior.
There you go.
That's exactly why I don't do it, because I'm just going to power my way through it and wind up killing myself. So that's why I am not going to touch any rock walls or anything. Just give me a straight line and I'll run. That's all.
So you say now.
Yeah, no, I'll get to do it, and I'll be like, she was right. Why did I do this? What?
You never know. I mean, again, I thought that I would never ever do it.
You going skydiving?
I have gone skydiving.
Same thing. Got to get over the fear.
Highly recommend it. Well, I'll give you the little pro tip on it.
Right.
Because I went with a friend of mine talked me into it, because I was like, oh, hell no. That is like, how stupid can you be? And she talked me into it. So we're going up, and I said, okay, this is the one condition. I go first. And she was like, dang, girl, you are badass. And I'm like, and so out I went, did it, right. And it's very empowering when you land. You're just like, because you feel like you can do anything. But when she landed, she's like, you freaking bitch. Now I know why you said you wanted to go first. Because it's like you have all that time. Your mind starts like, you watch your friend
fall.
And then you're like, maybe this isn't such a good idea. But like, first, you don't have a whole lot of time. It's like it's open, like they've talked to you, like we're gonna do this. And of course you're tandem. Hopefully you're with somebody who knows what they're doing. And they're like, you do this, and spread out when it's time, they're pulling the cord, all that. So it's like that thing opens and boom, you go out.
Yep.
You don't have time to think about it. So if you do it,
go first.
Go first.
Fair enough.
That's good advice.
It is. Because I know to push your ass out the door, Clint, when we do it.
That's right. Then I get to go first.
Then you get to go first. Just not willingly.
It is really empowering, though. It's just to do once. Like, I don't have any interest in doing it again, but it was like an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
You really feel like you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Sounds really cool.
I'll have to try that out.
Yep. Do you do much in the way of convention circuits or anything like that? I mean,
I got one coming up.
Do you?
I got, in the beginning of March, I'm going to be in Bastrop, Texas for the cult convention. And then there's another one coming up that I haven't been announced on yet, but my agent says that that's a done deal. So I'm not going to mention it because they haven't mentioned me.
Right.
But I think that's happening. And there might be a few more, because I know that just this last weekend, there was the Atlanta Days of the Dead, and most of the Friday Fives were there. I wasn't there. Ron wasn't
Yeah.
there. But I
Wow.
think that there's going to be some more Friday Five reunions, which would be really, really cool because we did one a few years ago and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So fingers
Yeah.
crossed that I get to some more conventions. I think one of the issues too is that because I live in Canada, it costs more to fly me
Yeah.
out to wherever
Yeah.
they need to go. So I think that that's been an issue, but there are some promoters who don't care. And there's also Canadian shows. So
That's true.
That's
That's
true.
true. Well, if you ever make it to the eastern United States, like to New Jersey or another chiller or something like that, maybe we'll look for you there. I mean, because that's it's kind of where we hang. But
I was in New Jersey last year.
last year, oh,
Damn it.
Last year. Yeah.
we weren't doing a lot of it then, but that's a shame we
Okay.
miss you.
Well, we ain't gonna miss you.
But
We ain't missing again.
yeah, there should be some stuff. I'll let you guys know.
Awesome.
Very cool.
We'd
Appreciate
love
it.
to come see you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that'd be cool.
Definitely. Anything else you want to talk about, Clint? Are we taking enough of this?
I think we've taken
Young
enough of
lady's
our
time.
time. I
All
I
right.
do
Young
appreciate you
lady.
showing up to talk to us and entertain some of our sillier questions, but we didn't want to spend too much time on Friday Five because I know that that's something that you
Yeah,
get
because
to talk
you're
about
more
a
than
lot,
that.
and you got a lot more going on than that. So I appreciate you indulging some of our other curiosities.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Mhm.
I have no problem with Friday being an identifying thing for me.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing. You never know what you're going to be remembered for.
Right.
So be cool to people, right?
That's right.
And we've already established that people can find you on Instagram around Rascal Photo, or they can look you up on Facebook, see some of your work at Rascal Photo and Design, and you
Yeah,
have
or
your
my
own
fan
website,
page and my
your
fan
fan
page
page.
too. I got the Tiffany Helm fan page, which is I do it in fits and starts. Sometimes I'm, putting stuff on it daily, especially around Halloween. I'm there because I do my Halloween playlist countdown. But yeah, but people can follow me there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't take a whole lot of friend requests on my personal page, and that's because I am left of left. I'm very progressive. I'm vegan, and I shout it from the mountaintops. And I've had some people who don't appreciate that,
They
and
were,
it's gotten kind of ugly. And I've been
yeah.
called some really strange names, and
Ew.
I've had
Jeez.
to block people. And it's if somebody sends me a friend request, it's not that I won't. I just took
Mhm.
on a couple fans, but I said this whole thing. I'm like, here's the deal. This is who I am.
Mhm.
This is my Facebook persona, and day to day, like talking to people, I won't, you know, get into politics or my veganism or whatever unless I'm asked for it. But on Facebook, on my page, I get into it. So if you got a problem with it, please don't friend me.
Yep.
Just
Right.
because it won't
Right.
end well.
Yep.
And I have
No,
so
no.
many people that I really like, and it just makes it blech.
Well, I
Yeah.
can tell you,
No.
you've been phenomenal to me as far as messaging me. You've been nothing but professional, nothing but endearing to me. So I thank you for that because some people just they don't respond or they I don't know, they just respond in a weird way. You were just boom.
Yeah.
Like,
Talk to my publicist.
yeah, talk to my agent. I'm like, huh? Give me $200 in PayPal right now, just to
Well,
talk to you.
and I'll finish up with that too. And that's, I know, because it comes off, I've only recently been asking people about payment because there were a few times that actually like people profited off of, doing an interview with me. I'm not going to mention names, but there were a few of them. And I was finally like, wait a minute.
That's
Wait a
ridiculous.
minute. So I always have to ask. It's like
Sure.
I love talking to the fans and the interviewers, the podcasters, and everybody, but I have to ask because it started getting a little out of control with people. Again, if you're making money off of my time, then it's a whole different story.
Nope.
Mhm.
We just love talking to you. So
I
we're
appreciate it.
making no money now. Something we could do, and we do it every once in a while. with your photography, do you have any way we can donate something or something like that to you towards a good cause with that?
Mhm.
What do you mean?
Like we
Or
go
a
ahead, Clint.
charity
Yeah, charity or something
that you're
like that.
passionate about.
Oh, I have tons of charities. It's generally animal advocacy charities, and not, and local is best. Like I did that for a while, where in lieu of payment for an autographed photo, I was having people donate to certain animal charities. And I always ask people, though, to really look at who you're donating to. It's better to go with the small local places that are really struggling, as opposed to like World Wildlife Fund and, Humane Society of America. But to find like your local shelter, bring in a few bags of food, preferably the no-kill shelters. Um, I know that, homeless animals, like a lot of shelters, kind of have no choice, but a lot of them really, really push to not make them so that they don't have to kill any animals.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones, or the wildlife rehabilitation. I would ask people, I'm like, well, what's your favorite animal? Between these three animals, I'm like, okay, well, and I'd Google, I'm just like, well, here's some local places that, I don't know, rabbit rehabilitation and bird rehabilitation and puppies, and like whatever your thing is, I can guarantee you that there's a local place that would love the help, because it's horrible how
Oh yeah.
many little critters are suffering out there. So
I
if
have
you can do
14
your
cats
part,
because of it.
you have 14 cats. Oh, you'll have to send me pictures.
I will.
Okay.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we try to do whatever we can to help our guests out, so if there was a way to help your photography business, or if there was like Clint said, a charity, and
I
we're
would
more
just say
happy to
an
help you.
animal. Like, yeah, I mean it, take a bag of food to a local shelter, or whatever you see fit. I try not to dictate too much where people should put things. In my photography, I don't know. Well, there's a Hasselblad I'm looking at. No. No, all good, all good. And yeah, if you know anybody who's got a cool indie project and is keen to work with me, send them my way. I
Hey,
am not opposed to
we know a
that.
lot of them, so
Yeah, I would be up for it. It's
awesome.
it's a matter of it just being able. Again, I'm in Canada, so
Right.
that changes things for a lot of people.
Well, we'll hit them up and let them know, and
A little bit.
yeah, we'll see what we can do for you.
Right on.
Mhm.
You guys
Awesome.
are awesome.
Well, you're
Thank
as
you so
awesome.
much.
You're more awesome.
You're awesome. You're awesome.
All right.
Okay.
It's been phenomenal talking to you, Tiffany. And like I said, I can't thank you enough for hopping on here with us. So it has been a good chat. So, Clint, you want to end it like we always do?
Yeah, well, I think we plugged most of the things where
Yep.
people can find you and follow you. Unless there was something else that you wanted to add, like a website or upcoming thing that you have going on.
No, I got my Rascal Photo and Design website. I have Rascal Weddings. I got my Instagram. I got my 3 Facebook pages. I'm exhausted.
We're done.
Yep.
We're
Well,
good
of
to go
course, you
then.
can also find us on Facebook as the Hamityville Horror Podcast. You can also find us on Instagram under Hamityville 2022. You can find us on Twitter under the same thing. And of course, our YouTube page, which is probably where this very interview is going to end up. And that is the Hamityville Horror Podcast YouTube channel. And Don, you want to give us your tagline?
Ooh. What is it? Don't let the bad ones ruin a good time. It's been a long time
That's
since I
right.
said that.
Don't let the bad ones ruin a good time.
Exactly.
And I hope you find movies that haunt you.
Bye,
Have a good night.
guys.